Not such a lovely weather today. It's raining. What to do today? Well, I can do a vinyl community movie. Why not? Let's do it. Well, while the rain is pouring outside, let's do a response to Rachel MusicMAM's Canadian vinyl tag. Yes, let's do another tag, one among these many. And hello there, Rachel. I know that you talked very long time before this to do a Canadian vinyl tag, so let's move ahead. Even though I can prepare for the fact that are some of these questions that I will not be able to respond to, that I will leave a blank to, because music sharing said I don't have anything in a records with. Such as number one, show a Canadian country album. I don't know any Canadian country artists at all. Hard enough to name regular country artists actually. Unfortunately I have to leave that blank. Show a Canadian jazz album. That one was of course the most easiest one. I think you have already guessed, Rachel, what is coming up. Oscar Peterson from Toronto, if I'm not wrong. And this is a double album set released on Pablo, live at North Sea Jazz Festivals, along with Belgian harmonica guitarist Toots Thielemans, Danish bass player Niels Henning Alsted Pedersen, and guitarist Joe Pass. So this is a very interesting live album. We have show a Canadian artist in an American band. That was harder than I actually could imagine, but then I realized that the obvious answer was pretty much in front of me. David Clayton Thomas in Blood, Sweat and Tears. He's a Canadian, but the band is American. So David Clayton Thomas. Some of these answers will of course be kind of obvious, of course, such as show a Canadian female solo artist. I mean natural. Alanis Morissette. An artist that I was so interested when she came, but that grew on me big through the years. Jagged Little Pill was that album, for those who didn't recognize it. Show a Canadian metal album. Boom. I don't know any Canadian metal bands. Maybe there are some obvious, but it's definitely not my bag. But to shock, I can show a 45. I know that is a metal album you want, but to show something, I can show a Canadian metal single instead. Because I checked up, I googled to see what names there were. I didn't recognize 99% of them. But there was one name that I actually did know that I had something with, and that was a band called Helix. And the single, Rock You, Give Me an R, O. And I have it because it is a cult classic. I'm not going to say that this is a song that I put on every day actually, but I have it because I think it's a cult classic. So, but Helix were Canadian actually. I didn't know that. Show a Canadian artist 45. Also pretty easy one actually. I have a lot of Canadian singles. But I actually picked a 12-inch. That is spinning on 45, of course, because I wanted to have something by Corey Hart, and this is my favorite song by Corey Hart, and I only have it on 45 actually. Never Surrender, on the Boy in the Box album from 1985. This is a really, really great one. Also, a lot of nostalgia from the times when I started listening to music back in 1985. Show a French Canadian artist. That one was a bit tough actually. But I found only response I could think of. Celine Dion. I know this is not an album, but this is the only thing I have with Celine Dion actually in my collection. I'm not a huge fan of Celine Dion, but I think that her Eurovision Song Contest winner song from 1988, Ne partez pas sans moi, is really, really great. We have show a Canadian ingenious artist. Don't have any, unfortunately. Show a Canadian prog rock album. No Rush, no Canadian albums, prog rock albums in my collection at all. No, prog rock has never been my cup of tea. Show a Canadian pressing made in Canada. Sorry, I don't own that one either, for obvious reasons, I guess. But 11, show a Canadian folk album, and I guess this one might count as it. Anne Murray. I have a couple of albums by her that aren't. I know I could have picked her as Canadian country, but she has a country side, she has a popular side, and I prefer her more popular side from the 70s. So I have no pure Canadian country albums by Anne Murray, unfortunately. But I can show her for the folk album, actually. Talk It Over in the Morning from 1971. Show an album with a snow cover. Well, it wasn't that easy actually. I thought I had a whole lot more than I did actually. But I picked Mariah Carey's Christmas album. As you can see, it's snow here. We have show a Canadian male solo artist, and I picked there an obvious one. I picked Bryan Adams. This is a picture disc with an interview from 1983 that I found. An interview disc. Show a song or album with a Canadian location in title or lyrics. Well, I picked a Swedish one because I know there are some that actually really like when I show Swedish stuff, so I should have at least something from Sweden. And this is a Swedish singer from the 80s named Björn Holm. He is from the south part of Sweden, Skåne, so he sings with a southern accent. This is an album called Bortom gränsernas hav, Beyond the Ocean of Limits. And my pick here is a song called Invitation to the Blues. He sings in Swedish, but the refrain actually is in English for some reason in this song only. Otherwise it is in Swedish. But in this song he sings the verses in Swedish, but the refrain in English. And the refrain and the song starts in Swedish, and it says hon är i andra månaden i Vancouver. She is in the second month in Vancouver. She's second month pregnant, of course. She's in the second month in Vancouver. Great song, really great, relaxing, and smooth song actually. I think it's from 1984, 83 or 84. Show an album with a Canadian symbol on it, moose, duck, leaf, etc. Well, I can show both a duck and a moose, starting with the moose. A compilation from the comic magazine Helge, who is a Swedish moose, and it is comics about the moose hunting that we have every October, with Helge being a kind of an anti-hero. So here is a moose, not most wanted, moose wanted, and it also an album with comics. Duck I can also show. This is an old album from Disney's favorite series, released on EMI, with Donald Duck. The Way to Fame and Fortune. Vägen till ära och berömmelse. I'm not going to say that this is a good album. I have it because I'm a Disney fan, and it is a cult classic, but it is horrible acting, and the story is pretty nonsense. But it is really fun to have. So, but a moose and a duck, both in comics. Show an album with a Canadian record label. I dug a couple of hours through a Wikipedia site about Canadian labels. I didn't recognize any one of them, not even one with jazz. So unfortunately that one I have to leave a blank. Show a Canadian live album or an album live in Canada. The Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie Massey Hall in Toronto concert from 1953. 53. With Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, Bud Powell, Charlie Mingus, and Max Roach. In this case, it is a prestige release called The Greatest Jazz Concert Ever. A really, really great live album. Maybe the best jazz live album that I have. I really think this one is an awesome jazz album. But it is live in Toronto. We have a song with beer or whiskey in the lyrics. Well, the first thing that came up to me was this one. Bran Van 3000. And the song Drinking in LA, which was, if I'm not wrong, their only hit actually. And we have With My Money on My Mind and My Mind on Beer is in the refrain. So it has alcohol connection. And then show a Canadian album or artist on colored vinyl. I have extremely few colored vinyl, so I have to leave that a blank, which I normally often do when they ask for colored vinyl in these tags. Shout out to Canadian Vinyl Community Channel. Well, I could have picked you, but since you are the one who has done this vinyl tag, Rachel, I give a shout out to AGK Anthony. I think that he's a great channel with a huge variety of genres and a great knowledge about what he shows. So Hi, Anthony. And I'll leave, of course, a link to him in the description. So, that one was my Canadian vinyl tag. So I hope that you are satisfied with my response ratio, even though there were some blanks. I hope that you and everybody else have a really nice time. Until next time, take care and so long.